For decades, the official record held a ghost story. On May 30th, a top-secret flight high above mainland China ended in a blinding flash. Cruising at 70,000 feet, the pilot abruptly vanished from radar. Officially, neither the mission, the pilot, nor the aircraft even existed. Welcome to This Day That Year, where we uncover what happened on this exact day in the past. On this channel, we break down complex geopolitical events into simple 5-minute explainers. To understand how a plane disappears from the stratosphere without a trace, we have to look at the high-stakes peak of Cold War espionage. In the early 1960s, the CIA was flying blind. Communist China was rapidly advancing its own nuclear weapons program deep within its interior, leading to the detonation of its first atomic bomb in 1964. Washington urgently needed photos of heavily guarded facilities in remote regions like Lanzhou and Baotou. Standard aircraft couldn't survive the journey. The only solution was the Lockheed U-2 spy plane, designed to cruise at the edge of space, far above the reach of conventional anti-aircraft fire. But after the Soviet Union shot down American CIA pilot Francis Gary Powers in 1960, the diplomatic stakes became too high. Sending another American pilot into communist airspace risked triggering a direct conflict with the Soviet-backed world. This left Washington in a bind. The intelligence on China's nuclear progress was vital, but placing a U.S. citizen in the crosshairs was no longer an option. The CIA found a solution through a secret alliance with Taiwan. Under an agreement known as Project Razor, signed with leader Chiang Kai-shek, the United States supplied the top-secret U-2s, while the Republic of China Air Force provided the pilots. These proxy pilots were designated the 35th Squadron, better known by their nickname, the Black Cats. Their missions were perilous. Launching from Taoyuan Air Base, Black Cat pilots flew thousands of miles deep into the Chinese mainland, often navigating for 12 hours toward targets like the Baotou nuclear facility. Sitting alone in a pressurized suit at 70,000 feet, the pilot operated in complete radio silence, entirely cut off from support or rescue. For the CIA, this setup provided plausible deniability. It allowed Washington to collect strategic intelligence while shifting the lethal risk of the Cold War onto Taiwanese pilots. The primary threat to these flights was the Soviet-designed S-75 Dvina surface-to-air missile. It was one of the few weapons in the world capable of reaching the U-2's extreme operating altitude. A deadly technological duel followed. When the Chinese realized American planes used jammers to break radar locks, they adapted their tactics, developing a method called silent tracking. Instead of sweeping the sky and alerting the U-2's sensors, Chinese crews kept their tracking radars completely inactive. They waited until the aircraft was directly overhead and inescapably within the missile's launch envelope. Only then would they activate the system. The pilot would have seconds of warning before a volley of missiles ignited from the ground and rocketed toward the stratosphere. Back at the base in Taiwan, the tracking signal would simply stop. With no contact and no wreckage recovered, the military assumed the pilot died in the blast. Empty graves were built to honor the vanished. These technological adaptations turned the untouchable spy plane into a vulnerable target, making every mission a potential suicide run. When analysts scrutinized the film from these flights, they spotted something unexpected. High-resolution photos showed a massive Chinese military buildup, but it wasn't aimed at Taiwan. It was concentrated along the northern border with the Soviet Union. At the same time, intelligence revealed that Chinese nuclear facilities were now operating without the Soviet advisors or hardware once promised by Moscow. This proof of a fractured communist bloc changed American strategy. It gave the Nixon administration the confidence to pursue a diplomatic opening with Beijing, shifting the global balance of power by exploiting the very intelligence gathered by the Black Cats. But the proxy war also created a technology transfer. Every U-2 shot down was a goldmine. In Beijing, the shattered wreckage of captured planes was put on public display for the world to see. Chinese engineers meticulously studied the salvaged cameras and radar detection systems. This reverse engineering directly accelerated China's domestic defense industry, helping them build their own high-altitude missile systems. The political liability of downed planes and captured pilots eventually forced a shift in espionage. The U.S. moved away from manned aircraft, pivoting toward unmanned drones and the digital spy satellites that monitor the globe today. A moment of wonder. But what actually happened to the Black Cat pilots who vanished and were given empty graves? In January 1965, Major Chang Li-yi was blasted out of the sky over Inner Mongolia. His commanders in Taiwan declared him dead and published his obituary. But he didn't perish in the explosion. Chang managed to eject from the stratosphere and survived the fall. He was captured and secretly held in mainland China for decades, only emerging alive long after his original mission was forgotten. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing for more 5-minute geopolitical explainers. Major Chang's return is a final reminder of the true cost of intelligence. Behind every diplomatic victory were flesh and blood pilots, bearing the human weight of the Cold War's most secretive proxy battles.